Is the market going up? Is the market going down? Is it going sideways? I'm going to give you my answers to all these questions and how I'm handling this wild stock market. This is not financial nor professional advice. This video is for entertainment only. Hey everyone. I think the number one factor affecting the stock market is the war in Ukraine. I think if that war were to suddenly end, that the stock market would go absolutely bonkers. And there's signs that Ukraine is doing pretty well as far as driving the Russians out. But if it doesn't go in Ukraine's favor, we could be in a long, drag-out war, and I think that would be very negative. The United States is getting $40 billion ready in economic and military aid, which I think is going to help a lot. Is already turning the course of the war somewhat. They've driven the Russians out of their second largest city, which is Kharkiv. And I think that's just a major sign of how skilled the Ukrainians are. You know, the Ukrainians, it's my understanding that they made a lot of Russia's tanks. So Russia's attacking. It's a military supplier of its weapons, or some of its weapons anyways. That's kind of wild, if you ask me. But I think if that war ends, that is the overriding factor. We have a guaranteed negative coming up in June, or at least it's said to be guaranteed, that they're going to raise interest rates another 0.5%. And then mortgage rates, I think, are running close to 5.5% now. And the real estate market is starting to slow down a little bit. You throw another 0.5% on that, it's going to be noticeable. The mortgage rates, if they hit 7%, I think we're in for somewhat of a real estate crash. We have Russia on the one hand, that is a problem, and then we have the China problem. China's stock market has been collapsing. Their real estate had been collapsing. It seems to be recovering a little bit now. And we're in this weird position where the United States is raising interest rates and China actually wants to decrease their mortgage rates to help out their real estate. It's a very strange world we live in. China is also putting tariffs on their fertilizer and on their pork. And again, with the supply problems, Ukraine, Russia, and China. And then there's a famine in India. Okay, India's projected to produce 40% of the wheat they usually produce, which is going to create famine, I think, in portions of the world. Ukraine is a major supplier of crops. They're a major producer of corn and wheat, and they supply food to Africa and to the Middle East. And then that, of course, that's all collapsed. And so you have these major food problems, and you can see it in our food prices. We are affected by the fertilizer shortage, and China, we can't get fertilizer from them. We used to get a lot of fertilizer from Russia and Ukraine, and that's not happening. And you can see it with the gas prices, the energy prices. Russia is a major supplier of natural gas, of course, to Germany especially. And Europe is shutting off its buying of Russian oil and natural gas, and they're getting it from the United States. And so that's going to drive our prices of energy way up, and I think they're going to stay up for some time. And that's actually a future investment I'm keeping in the back of my mind, but I'm not there yet. So we have wonderful companies like Tesla, being affected because their Shanghai Gigafactory has to shut down at times because of the China lockdowns due to their health problems. Their vaccines don't work as good as ours. And Apple, they had a wonderful report, but then they said that we may have supply chain problems, and that completely undid it. I mean, it was going towards 180, and now it's in the 140s. So, and Apple is a major part of the market. I mean, I think it's 12% of the 100 largest companies on the QQQ, the 100 largest companies on the NASDAQ. It makes up 12% of it because they weight it according to how big your company is. And that's how much weight Apple pulls. Inflation, if it went below 8%, okay, that would be somewhat positive. But I mean, we would have to get like 6 or 7% for it to be major news. On the other hand, if it goes 8.5% or above, that's major bad news because it's already so bad, and people, even a continuation at the level it's at is bad, and going above 9% would of course be horrific. So I want to show you what trading was like on the SQQQ. The SQQQ shorts the QQQ, which is the 100 largest companies on the NASDAQ. So you're shorting the 100 largest companies on the NASDAQ, of course. And it's an inverse fund. They do this all for you. It's no work to do. It's just kind of nerve-wracking because of the way it reacts. And I bought probably at the top of the market on Monday. And of course, it crashed Tuesday morning. But it went back up in the afternoon, but then it crashed again. So seeing that this looked like some kind of pattern to me, I doubled down. I bought twice as much as I had before, and it rode up and it went up steadily until Wednesday night, and then it went down Thursday morning. And of course, I added to my position Thursday morning, and it went up again that Thursday. And then Thursday afternoon, around 3 o'clock, I'm saying to myself, you know what? I've experienced enough crashes to think that it's going to happen again, and I got out. So if you had bought at the right price and rode it out during the week, you would have made some money. But I ended up making massive money because of my double downs at the correct points after making a huge mistake to begin with. So I ended up making $80,000 for the week, which, you know, it's so rewarding. I've been through crashes where I've seen a third of my net worth go out the window, and to actually make money in a crash was so delightful, I must say. You know, you guys don't realize how made you have it with the stock market. I got to give you an old man's tale, okay? I've been trading since the 70s and 80s, okay? In those days, back in those days, you called your broker on the phone, who then he placed an order by phone to New York, and everything was done by people. There was no computer, nothing like this. In fact, to do what you guys do today, you had to have a seat on the New York Stock Exchange. So you could actually sit on the New York Stock Exchange and execute your trades almost immediately. So what you guys have right now is the equivalent of having a seat on the New York Stock Exchange in the 1980s. It's unbelievable. And these inverse funds, I don't know, I never used them, but they make it so easy. And they're perfect for general market downturns. You don't have to be right on a given company, but you do have to be right on the general news. And I think the market's all been driven by the general news. A company can come out with wonderful results like Tesla and like Apple and get downgraded because they're worried about the immediate future and the strange kind of news we're getting on the wire today. But I just want you guys to realize how gifted you are to have a seat on the New York Stock Exchange where you can execute trades immediately. I could never do what I'm doing. I would have never made 80,000. I would have, you placed your bets and man, you better hold it for a month or so. And you didn't have immediate feedback. You would look in the newspaper the next day and hope maybe your broker got it around that price. Maybe it was nowhere near that price because we know how much prices can change during the day. But it's just such a gift of what computers can do nowadays and how you have a seat on the New York Stock Exchange. And yeah, brokerages have advantages, but you know, you've caught up a lot. And so it's actually worth doing. And I don't encourage anybody to follow what I do necessarily. What I'm doing is sort of crazy, and I know it, but I've been through so many of these crashes that I've kind of gotten the joke of how it goes. And so I'm telling you what I'm doing. This is not financial advice. You need to assess your own personal position, what you need in life, what you like in life. All of that is important as to whether you hold on to a stock or sell it. And so please be careful and please take this as information, another bit of information you can throw on the heap. And that's the other advantage you have. You have information like never has existed in the history of mankind. So you should be so glad you're living in the era in which you're living if you're interested in stock trading. Thanks for listening and watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. And hit that notification bell if you want to be notified. And I will plan on seeing you in the future. Thank you.